Till a sloth's claws work the opposite way that human hand does. The default position is a tight strong grip, and sloths must exert effort to open them up. This is why sloths don't fall out of trees when they're asleep. Another interesting tidbit from the article. We use the word claws advisedly, because sloth claws are not, as in many other species, essentially long, hard fingernails, but are actually the sloth's protruding finger bones. These appendages give the sloths a very fine sense of touch, which in some ways compensates for their poor eyesight. Also how the brakes on a train work. Their default position is locked, and the pneumatic system holds them open when the train is moving. Sometimes trains are late leaving because there's a fault with the brakes. The issue isn't that they might not work, it's that they won't stop working. I have a sloth hand that doesn't drop beer when I'm asleep in a chair. Did anyone else open and close their hand after reading this? Fun semi-related fact, spiders' legs work by pumping their blood into them to expand them. Their default position is curled up. Also it dehydrates them when they pump their blood a lot, so when you see a spider with its legs curled up, it may just be dehydrated and not dead. Give it a tiny drop of water and it may revive. So does an aging, injured, sick, or dehydrated sloth get inescapably attached to the tree, unable to let go and try to get help. If you actually pay attention to your hand at rest, you'll notice that the default position of your fingers is slightly curled and you have to exert effort to straighten your fingers out. You'll also notice if you roll your shoulders and relax them that hands usually prefer to face palm backward, not palm to the body. If you lift your hands up from that position, in their relaxed states, you'll see we are still built for swinging in trees, too. This is how anuses work, therefore sloths have butt hands. Now, I can call my arthritic hands, my sloth claws. Sloths are also excellent swimmers. Bats' feet function similarly, allowing them to sleep upside down without falling. It also stops them from falling out of trees after they die. Way to bury the lead. We use the word claws advisedly, because sloth claws are not, as in many other species, essentially long, hard fingernails, but are actually the sloth's protruding finger bones. Fucking gross. Late on this train, but the headline/article is inaccurate. Human flexor muscle groups are the dominant group over the extensors, same as sloths. This flexor-dominant balance is far more obvious in animals that want to dedicate as little energy expenditure to hanging from limbs compared to us, and their physiology reflects that. But it does not diminish the fact that we also rest in a flexed position. The index finger is often lifted slightly compared to the others because of the presence of our extensor indicis muscle giving a slight advantage to our primary poking finger. Humans with chronic carpal tunnel and lateral epicondylalgia, tennis elbow, are both often suffering from sustained wrist and finger flexion both during sleep and with daily activities. Our preferred position is just less severely stuck in a bent position than sloths, and we aren't structured as well to tolerate what they do. I don't know if sloths have a palmar fascia capable of putting pressure on their median nerve, but I'm sure someone somewhere does. Opposite is the wrong word for this headline and it's wrongfully misleading. I did not know. Thanks for sharing. Always wondered about that. Funny, I learned this 2 days ago. https://www.com/r/educational/comments/click2b/sloth_hands_r/r/school/r/educational. Humans have a similar albeit far weaker reflex in our hands. If you relax, your fingers will curl. Straightening them requires some exertion. It's probably an artifact of brachiation from our early ancestors. This is why on sloth Reddit it's /r/face-fist. So. Sphincter claws. This sounds like something that would happen to someone in a nightmare. Kind of like when you can't punch or run in a bad dream. That would be so uncomfortable to cope with if it just happened all of a sudden. I mean, human hands aren't stuck in the open position by default. I hope they don't get carpal tunnel. I think bats are that way too. This is like when I took too much ketamine and I had to exert force to stop walking really fast. This also explains why I've fallen out of many trees while asleep. Need. I don't fall out of trees when I'm asleep because I don't fall asleep in trees. I fall asleep in bushes. Koalas are fucking horrible animals. They have one of the smallest brain to body ratios of any mammal. Additionally, their brains are smooth. A brain is folded to increase the surface area for neurons. If you present a koala with leaves plucked from a branch, laid on a flat surface, the koala will not recognize it as food. They are too thick to adapt their feeding behavior to cope with change. In a room full of potential food, they can literally starve to death. This is not the token of an animal that is winning at life. Speaking of stupidity and food, one of the likely reasons for their primitive brains is the fact that additionally to being poisonous, eucalyptus leaves, the only thing they eat, have almost no nutritional value. They can't afford the extra energy to think. They sleep more than 80% of their fucking lives. When they are awake all they do is eat, shit and occasionally scream like fucking Satan. Because eucalyptus leaves hold such little nutritional value, koalas have to ferment the leaves in their guts for days on end. Unlike their brains, they have the largest hindgut to body ratio of any mammal. Many herbivorous mammals have adaptations to cope with harsh plant life taking its toll on their teeth. Rodents for instance have teeth that never stop growing. Some animals only have teeth on their lower jaw, grinding plant matter on bony plates in the tops of their mouths. Others have enlarged molars that distribute the wear and break down plant matter more efficiently. Koalas are no exception. When their teeth erode down to nothing, they resolve the situation by starving to death, because they're fucking terrible animals. Being mammals, koalas raise their joeys on milk, admittedly, one of the lowest milk yields to body ratio. There's a trend here. When the young joey needs to transition from rich, nourishing substances like milk, to eucalyptus, a plant that seems to be making it abundantly clear that it doesn't want to be eaten, it finds it does not have the necessary gut flora to digest the leaves. To remedy this, the young joey begins nuzzling its mother's anus until she leaks a little diarrhea, actually fecal pap, slightly less digested, which he then proceeds to slurp on. This partially digested plant matter gives him just what he needs to start developing his digestive system. Of course, he may not even have needed to bother nuzzling his mother. She may have been suffering from incontinence. Why? Because koalas are riddled with chlamydia. In some areas the infection rate is 80% or higher. This statistic isn't helped by the fact that one of the few other activities koalas will spend their precious energy on is rape. Despite being seasonal breeders, males seem to either not know or care, and will simply overpower a female regardless of whether she is ovulating. If she fights back, he may drag them both out of the tree, which brings us full circle back to the brain. Koalas have a higher than average quantity of cerebrospinal fluid in their brains. This is to protect their brains from injury. Should they fall from a tree? An animal so thick it has its own little built-in special ed helmet. I fucking hate them. Give 'em the clamps. So then tendons run along the palm of the hand rather than the back. Would that be correct? Why don't all hands work like this? Motherfuckers are built to be lazy. It's also why human hands curve the way they do, why a gun fits so perfectly into a curved hand, from back when we used to swing from tree branches like chimps. Sloths' grip is so tight, that they don't even fall off the tree when they die. They remain suspended from a branch.